I want to share with you guys a nervous system retraining practice that I do with my clients and that I do for myself. And it was born out of two things. One, a recognition that a lot of us are already doing some of this organically. And so if we understand how to make more of a process around it and a more intentional practice, we can really harvest the benefits of what we are doing. And two, because I think somatic work becomes really challenging for individuals in general because we are conditioned to intellectualize our feelings and to try and think our way through as a form of processing. But especially for women who are high achievers, who are perfectionists, who are the ones who hold everything together, because it is so challenging for us to focus inward. There feels like there's so much going on in our minds. And one difficulty that that presents that I've talked about a fair amount is we often get told things like meditate or even visualize and manifest the future. And it feels so impossible because we cannot sit, focus, get our minds to actually hone in on those experiences, whether it's clearing the mind or focusing on something in the future that frankly probably just doesn't feel attainable. And I even have some clients who are like, I don't know if I've ever not been in survival mode. Like, how am I supposed to act as if in the future, right? And this was my problem as well. It just didn't feel like it was really landing. But we recognize that subconscious modalities like visualization, hypnosis can be really beneficial. There's a lot of research there suggesting that one of the most powerful ways that we know to date to influence the subconscious mind and its beliefs is through coming into a reduced brainwave frequency, a more subconscious, dreamy state, and then integrating new perspectives from there. But arguably maybe more powerful, or certainly they go hand in hand, one of, if not the most important thing that we can do to start to shift and reframe our beliefs and our feelings about safety and our feelings about our lives is to create new lived experience. Here's where that kind of falls short, right? If we are living a life that is already set up through the infrastructure of our protective beliefs and mechanisms from the past, then it can be really daunting, if not impossible, to create new lived experience when your prefrontal cortex is pretty offline and your system is just working out of survival. In that situation, pleasure is not a priority. It's all about the pain. And there's a hyperfixation on the pain when we're in survival mode, where we really start to see it as our only experience instead of seeing ourselves as multifaceted, that I can have pain or discomfort, but I also have all these other areas where I have joy, safety, connection, or at least neutrality. So, this practice is built out of the recognition that women coming into this work often do need a mind focus first versus a body focus. And I'll explain kind of what that means. But also, they need a way to actually integrate into those visualizations, hypnoses, whatever it is, that doesn't feel so impossible and that doesn't just run them right on back to thinking about their to do list. Now, this practice is adapted out of a practice called somatic pendulation. And this is a practice in somatic experiencing. And again, it's something we kind of organically do, but it's just putting that practice to practice, right? Which is moving between areas of the body that feel different sensations physically. So if I have discomfort in my right shoulder because there's tension, I can use somatic pendulation to recognize and validate that discomfort, but then shift my awareness, pendulate to another area of my body that at least feels neutral if I can't get to comfortable or supportive or better. And the reason this is powerful, moving between the two, is because it engages the mind and breaks the pattern, the cycle of only focusing on the experience of pain or discomfort in the body. It allows us to recognize, validate discomfort in the body while also not becoming so stuck in it that we see it as our only identity, our only experience. And that is just one of the benefits of that practice. I recognize it's utilized in other ways as well. However, when we are new to the somatic space and really the concept of emotions and sensations living in the body doesn't make much sense to us beyond just when we felt like sore or tense. And this idea that our bodies collect over time patterns and physical representations of our experiences kind of feels far-fetched. And it's not your fault if it does, because we are raised to look at our problems like they are all mental problems, solving problems, thinking problems. And so we often try to fix or find a solution, especially for women who have been rewarded for doing that, my intellectual badasses, and my women who are super high achieving because of their critical thinking and their ability to problem solve, right? And while somatic pendulation is an awesome practice, and I think I do, I even have a somatic pendulation demo on my channel. So go check that out if you want to do the physical practice. It has some shortcomings, right? But it also has the benefits of I am not just my experience of pain. That's incredible. And I can actually release some of the experience of pain or discomfort by kind of a transference of energy or transference of focus in the body. Think about it, and I often bring up this example from Brilliant Mycelium, which is a Netflix documentary, which is awesome, all about mycelium and mushrooms. And trees in their roots will actually communicate and transfer resources to one another via these mycelium under the dirt through the roots, right? So a tree can sense if younger tree in its area is in too much shade or is not getting enough water, and transfer some of its nutrients to that tree to make it stronger. And so there's this beautiful idea of transference of energy in the body where I see an area of discomfort, I go to an area that's more neutral or feels more supported, and I almost bring some of that energy back over as I pendulate through, okay? So instead of somatic pendulation, it can be really useful to shift to a mind focus. Think about visualization, pendulation, okay? And I definitely know that's not the right term for it, but stick with me here. If I am experiencing a reality that feels uncomfortable, let's say a hard day at work, or some challenges in my relationship, or my child is just really going through the terrible twos, whatever it is, and I only focus on that reality, then I am more than likely to either try and suppress it and force positivity, or to get really stuck in it and just decide this day is horrible through and through. I am upset. I can't get out of this. I am anxious. I am worried. I am ruminating, etc. So think about the mind symptoms, right? Rumination, worrying, anxiety, overthinking, right? We can remedy some of those symptoms through visualization pendulation, just like we can remedy physical symptoms in the body, like gut issues or tension in parts of the body or pain in parts of the body through somatic pendulation. What's really key about these practices is we're not suppressing, rejecting, or judging our experience. We're simply acknowledging that it can exist while also an alternative experience can exist. One of the things my clients tell me that kind of blows their mind, and I remember it blew mine too, is I am not just one emotion. I'm also not just two emotions. More often than not, I am 10 to 15 different emotions and experiences. I am robust. I am, eclectic. I have a lot of variety. And when we regulate, our goal isn't to feel one emotion all the time, like just calm all the time or just happy all the time. Our goal is to be able to experience the full range of our emotional states, not just on a vertical plane, like I'm this now, I'm that now, I'm this now, but also on a horizontal plane. I am experiencing multiple emotions at the same time, and I can make space for and acknowledge and validate and not judge all of them. That's so freaking powerful. That is such a powerful thing. The ability to deepen and enrich your life experience is really predicated on the ability that you can feel it all and not get stuck in just one emotional state, specifically the experience of pain. Now, remember, when we are in survival mode, we don't have much of a choice, right? We are hyper fixated on pain because our system believes that there is a threat. So these practices can be beautiful ways to gently retrain the nervous system towards I am allowed to and I am able to experience something different than simply pain or fear or threat of survival. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how you would actually do this. And this is where I have my notes because there's a couple different steps. Okay. So I am very cognizant of the fact that when we try to think about the future visualizations, it can be incredibly challenging because we're not there yet, or we start to doubt ourselves, or we start to be like, that'll never happen, right? It's equally difficult to think about past experiences, even ones of joy and connection, when we have had a past that has been riddled with experiences that made us feel unsafe. Because if we're in that survival mode, we will almost always kind of cycle our way through, like, that was so great, but then this happened, or that was so awesome, but at a time when this was going on. And so we need to find a space that can, in a way, be neutral to harness and bring in more joy, safety, comfort, relief, whatever emotional state you are seeking. My favorite one is relief. Like, I love feeling like I'm a physical representation of a big sigh of relief. So that's the example that I'm going to give. Let's say I'm having a stressful day. It just feels like there's so much going on. And I really can't get out of this mindset of worrying and overthinking things and feeling like I should have said things differently, or things aren't going to work out, the other shoe is going to drop, right? That's my current experience of pain mentally. It might manifest physically in my body. In fact, it almost always does, if not always. But I'm really experiencing it as mental gymnastics. And because of that, I'm pretty disconnected from my body. So if I was to try to come in and identify where it's showing up in my body, what that feels like, describe the physical behaviors, great if I can do that, right? That's ultimately the goal. But if I am just too far gone from that and I'm like, I don't even know, I'm up here, like, I can't even think about that, then let's find a practice that meets us where we're at. I would then want to practice a little visualization pendulation. The way that I am going to decide on my imagery that I'm going to focus on is by first outlining what I call with my clients snapshot visualizations. These are not future nor past, and they don't even have to be true experiences. You're going to take a culmination of experiences that represent the emotional state that you are trying to feel. 1 second, as if it was 1 second, 1 minute, but it can last. You just experience that moment for as long as you need. Let me explain. If I wanted to feel relief, some snapshot moments that would represent that to me are when I have just shaved my legs and I get in bed and I like roll my legs around in the sheets and I'm just like curled up and I'm alone and I can starfish and it's so awesome. Another one for me that represents relief, but also comfort and coziness, is my home where I was raised in DC, sitting on the couch with the Christmas tree lit, the lights off, it's early morning, the fireplace is there, and I'm snuggled up with my first cup of coffee. I have other clients who have used moments that we call, like, oh, this is the whole point moments, right? You do a really badass hike, you get to the top, you feel that breeze, it's crisp, you look at the view, it's incredible, you feel excited and proud. And also moments where they have just deeply, ritually connected with the people that they love, their children, their animals. I have lots of clients who do little moments playing with their dogs or cats. And so the idea here is not to get too intricate with it, not to be too obsessed with the imagery, but recognize even starting to think on some of those moments gives you a physical experience, right? Without you having to try and force it and create it in your body. They're experiences that we know, that we recognize. So they're easier to access than things in the future that haven't happened yet, and also safer to access than things in the past that might be mixed in and jumbled with some experiences that were more challenging for us. So you're going to get a piece of paper. You're going to write down one snapshot moment. You can title it. You could do like Christmas tree by the couch. You could do like top of X hike. You could do legs in sheets before bed. And then you're going to write down 4 bullet points. Close your eyes for a second. Just look around this moment. What stands out to you visually, right? 4 bullet points. So you don't spend so much time in the visualization piece trying to figure out how that looks, trying to imagine it. It's already there. You've pre-created it, right? And think about the emotional state it represents. So I actually have a journal filled with these snapshot moments. They're all titled different things. And sometimes when I'm feeling a type of way, I will go to my relief feeling snapshot moments and I will pick the one that I want to do, almost like it's a glossary of different options, almost like a menu. If I want to feel more joy, I might go to the joy page in my journal and pick of the 4 or 5 I have there that heavily represent joy to me, right? If you feel like you don't know what a certain emotional state feels like because it's been so damn long in survival, just pick one that's at least okay, fine. Nothing's wrong, nothing's great, but fine in comparison to the stress or activation or challenge that you're feeling right now. Then we're going to move into the pendulation. So first, take some movement, right? Take some movement, because when we try and force ourselves still, it's just too much. Walk around the space. Leave your eyes open, right? I used to do this all the time when I was younger with music, and I would just walk and imagine different realities and see my current and go to that, right? So a lot of us already organically do this when we're working out, when we're listening to music in the car, whatever. Then from there, close your eyes and just bring up the imagery of walking down a path. And you have 2 doors on that path. One represents your snapshot moment, the other represents your current moment. Walk through the door of your current moment. Experience the emotions that are coming up, even if it's just through imagining the current moment. Maybe you're imagining you at your desk, just like feeling anxious, and you don't even know how to describe that in your body, but simply by imagining, you're bringing in the sensations and recognition in the body. Be there, see it, and then walk out the door and come to the other door. Walk into your snapshot moment. For me, it's the relief of, slipping my legs into the sheets after a really great everything shower. I'm going to close my eyes and just fully experience that moment as if I could be here for as long as I wanted. Maybe I even shift and shimmy my body a little bit in the way that represents how I move. And then come back out onto the path and alternate between the 2. Look for what changes, not only in terms of your headspace, but also in terms of your physical expressions in your body. Has your heartbeat gone down? Has your breath deepened a bit, or your shoulders dropped a little bit more? Now, please keep in mind, this is a practice and a retraining. So if you're used to your mind always going somewhere else, we're not trying to force that back. We're trying to accept and understand that, hey, you're in stress. Like, of course, the mind's trying to focus there. So we don't have it be perfect. It's fine if other thoughts come in. In fact, it would be weird if you did this for the first time and they didn't, or you didn't feel like, what in the heck is going on? And that is why I recommend music as a really powerful way. Motivation music, just soft supportive music, binaural beats, as a way to help you to kind of hone in and focus. The last bonus point that you can do for this is, as you are in the door, so to speak, of the joyful or relief building or safe snapshot moment, different from your current reality, you can touch a part of your body. And for the remainder of the practice, every time you're in that moment and experience, touch a part of the body. Over time, if we do this, right, and not even just in a seated practice, but maybe I go for a walk and I really just experience and be in and explore my snapshot moment and cultivate more of that sensation. When I touch here, it's going to become a physical cue to my system to start to feel some of those sensations, because it will remind us of that moment. And over time, this simply can become a way that you create a different sensation and experience in your body without having to sit down and do a whole practice. And keeping in mind, whenever I say sit down, I mean move around, but tell yourself, hey, we are going into this practice now, which sometimes just is challenging and not as well integrated into our lives. So the steps: get a piece of paper, title, and write down 4 bullet points under a moment that represents an emotional state that you want to feel. Write down what that emotion is. If it's relief, joy, safety, comfort. Do some movement, right? And maybe not even close your eyes right away. Move first, left to right, shifting your favorite somatics, whatever. Then, maybe with some music in the background, begin to imagine yourself walking down a path. Imagine 2 doors appearing on that path. One represents your current reality and the imagery you associate with it. One represents your snapshot reality and the imagery you associate with it. Pendulating between the spaces, transferring of energy, recognizing that you can experience both at the same time. And through this practice, building synthetic data of your capacity to feel emotions that frankly have felt out of reach, I'm willing to bet, for a pretty long time. Why does this work? Because the subconscious is malleable. It's like a sponge. And the more that we can pattern our system to recognize and feel safe holding emotional states that have essentially been off limits to us or felt inaccessible in the past. And again, even just fine. It doesn't have to be full joy, full happiness. I get that if you're in survival mode, it's tough. We are teaching our systems. We're not just the experience of pain. We are multifaceted and robust. We have variety. And that we are able to hold an emotion of discomfort without having to suppress it, but also without having to feed it and stay stuck in it. And that becomes the most powerful recognition to embed into your emotional reality and beliefs, because then you know you have freaking got yourself no matter what. You become your own safety net. So let me know how the practice goes. I will link below the somatic pendulation demo if that feels more accessible. And I will also share in the description the steps from a basic level in case you were like, wait, I need to actually see this visually because I'm the same way. I will also share some links to my programs, other resources, and support from me. And of course, if you guys have any comments or questions, just drop them below and I will try to get to everyone.